Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. And this is your host, Tony Kines. Today, you might be confused as to which one Tony is, uh, because that's a fantastic Halloween costume. We are recording on Halloween, October 31st. And today, I have with me Robin Roberson, president and co-founder at Agentech. Robin, how's it going today?
Oh, it's going great. It's going great. I love Halloween. And of course, Tony, big fan of yours, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk a little bit more about Agentech, but of course, just InsurTech in general, of course, as well. Put my
Awesome.
real glasses on so I can see.
Fantastic. So, yeah, thank you for taking the time. And so for the listeners, so Robin is a second time insurtech, but third time founder, right?
Yep,
And long time insurance. So this one should be a really interesting one. And you are Oklahoma City, right?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma
Absolutely.
City, late October, still nice and warm, just starting to show signs of winter.
Absolutely. We actually had tornadoes last night. It blew the cold air in, and it was hot before then. Today is beautiful, sunny, and we're officially in fall now. So, gotta love the tornadoes.
Yeah, it's scary.
Uh,
Uh, all right. So we always give the guests a chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Agent Tech?
Well, I appreciate you asking. So, Agentech is really a culmination of different technologies. Over the last several years, I've been really passionate about creating efficiencies within the insurtech space, really focused on the claims process, which is ironically or sadly still a little bit cumbersome and outdated, right? So at Agentech, we've been leveraging AI, but it's a very specific form of AI. It is actually called Agentic. So it's a little bit similar to our name. But we create actual digital um, agents that are specifically trained on a task. So if you think about it, I'll just kind of give you the 10,000 foot view here. A claims handler having 200 personal digital assistants to help them on a single claim. And we're doing all of the administrative tasking, all the repetitive tasking. So we're not making any kind of decisions. We're just merely working through a lot of the data, summarizing it quickly, and presenting it back to the claim handler where when they need to make a decision, right, at those key decision points. So it's just really a huge tool, efficiency tool for the desk adjuster claim handler.
Hey, so I spent the first 2 years of my insurance career in the claim space, and then went over to underwriting. And so my claims experience is very entry level. 1 year FNOL, and handling very basic claims. One year in MedPay, PIP, injuries, first party.
Oh,
But I've chatted with many adjusters, working much deeper into the claims space. I've got many friends still working in that space, and often help recruit in that space. Um, so the one thing in common every adjuster I've ever run into has is they're just buried in a very high pending. Uh, and the more complex the claim, the more that they have just a ton of paperwork to go through, right? Whether that's understanding the policy and where the coverage is, or whether that is mountains of reports, from the hospital or from the chiropractor, God forbid, uh, et cetera. It's like it's just a lot of paperwork, and you have to make sense of it. So intuitive, this makes a ton of sense to me. If like my world as a claims adjuster would have been radically different um, if I didn't have to quickly go through tons and tons of difficult to read information to find the few things that really make a difference in our world, right? Um, so 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 now with this new tool, what what is the work does the world of a claims adjuster working complex claims? So we dig right into the deep end. What does their world look like with these kind of tools?
Yeah, so interestingly, the claims workflow is very similar across the different lines of business, right? So we started with pet insurance, and I'll kind of backtrack here because it's similar to what you're talking about. And the reason that pet insurance was our beachhead was because if you start thinking about all of the unstructured data that comes in, and if there's no standardization, right, within veterinarian codes, it's different from hospital. There's no real true requirement on
Oh, there's
coding.
no ICB 9 codes or whatever they're called today.
Correct, correct. So what you're getting
Uh-huh.
with the claim for the vet technician or the adjuster to have to go through, perhaps one veterinarian has handwritten on a piece of paper, and perhaps they abbreviated, let's just say, a procedure that has to do with hip dysplasia. And then another veterinarian is performing the same procedure, but they may be calling it something else, and they may hand write it out in whatever their terminology is. So we decided to tackle the actual unstructured data here, of course, using some OCR, but really working with our agentic agents to be able to comb through, sift, and learn. So agentic AI actually can learn. It's not a traditionally prompt-based language. We can talk a little bit more about that if you'd like to. But so being able to come in and again, in pet insurance, what we observed in 30 minutes, in an average of 30 minutes, the claim handler or vet technician was toggling back and forth between an average of 7 systems. They were clicking over 200 times, and they were touching a claim file or trying to basically manage a document 35 or more times in that 30 minutes. So again, very administrative. So what we did is we trained all of these agents to perform a specific task within each one of those pieces that I talked about, and pulling all the data together, and then again creating what we would call a pet profile or a claim profile, depending on what line of business you're in, to summarize, back to your point, all of the salient information that they really need to understand very quickly. So we took a 30-minute process, took it down to 30 seconds. And we have a high degree of accuracy, right? We're in the low 90s right now. And so what that meant was we saw a 4 times boost in claims productivity in pet insurance with no added labor, and then a 67% reduction in per claim processing cost. And you mentioned something that I love, and that is if I had this kind of tool, what could I have done? And if we start thinking about one of the big risks in the insurance space is the actual labor force, right? The older crew is starting to retire, and it's hard to attract the younger generation into this claims process because it's kind of boring and repetitive. So giving a younger person this kind of tool, where we can really support them with this kind of expert assistance, and then allowing them to decide when they need to make those claim decisions has been huge already. And so we've been doing this for about 11 months, and have started working in PNC. So back to your complex claims question, we have not started any true complex, what I would call complex claims, but definitely residential property, auto. We have, we're working on our security for workers' comp, so we can start doing some of those because workers' comp is pretty similar actually to pet, which is interesting. And of course, you talked a lot about surge, and we can talk about the benefits of using these type of agents during surge events as well. But I agree, we've heard a lot of claims adjusters just have this huge backlog. And if you start thinking about now with all the storms, think of all the file review that is sitting there needing to be done. And this is something that Agentic AI and we have a patent pending on the way that we've trained our agents, can come in and really help verify against the policy, work on that deck page, go through all the documents and say, okay, here are basically the cliff notes, right? And I can talk all day about this. There's more that I love that really helps the desk adjuster and claim handler here. But anyway, I'll pause for a second and see if you have any other questions or comments there.
Um, okay, so starting on the pet side, super interesting that the pet side has no standardization of codes. Uh,
Hmm.
our life is hard enough on the MedPay BI PIP side, where we at least have standardized coding, or supposed to be standardized coding. So yes, it would make sense how it would make a big difference on that side, and if it can succeed on that side, right? If the system can understand what's going on and summarize it on that much less structured side, uh, auto home should be significantly easier. Okay, so
Correct. There's more to, say, a property claim, right? There are more third party
mhm.
pieces of information that's coming in, but the training part, in understanding what needs to be brought, what is that salient information that needs to be presented, that's all very trainable with agentic AI.
Okay. Um, what does the implementation look like? So when we look to bring in a technology like this, where do our systems need to be able to play ball, and what does the implementation look like?
Yep, we're trying to keep this pretty simple. One thing I've learned over my years is we want very little change management. All the carriers, all the different insure techs out there. That's one reason why my last, I would say, project was really working on an ecosystem where there was a single login, but access to many. Um, you want to have very little change management. And so this does run in the background if we have this integration and we use RESTful webhooks, the API webhooks. If a carrier does not want us to be in their claims management system, and by the way, we do have a partnership agreement already in place with Snapsheet that was announced yesterday, and also Click Claims. So we're working and integrated into those systems. But we also have an interface. I just hate for someone else to have to log into something, and use it. But at the same time, if they're able to log in and quickly be able to read these type of summaries and make these decisions, it does still help them. I just would encourage everyone to have this kind of integration. So what we have as far as onboarding, we have 80% of this built out. So we have very specifically trained agents within the claim workflow that we provide. The other 20%, we actually do use some LLM capabilities. We take the carrier guidelines and or policies, perhaps any nuances that they may have that they would like to incorporate. And we have an orchestration agent team. They're, of course, digital. So anytime you hear me say team or agent, that's what I'm talking about. They're all digital. We have this orchestration team that will work with the quality assurance team to make sure that everything that the rest of the agents are doing, so all these agents are communicating at the same time, are properly following the guidelines. Perhaps they need to notate or document the claim file at certain times for auditing purposes, etc. So that's how and it takes us about 2 weeks to build this LLM that we need to really understand and make sure that our orchestration agent team understands everything that it needs to about the CARA guidelines. So it's relatively short implementation, which a lot of people don't believe, right? You hear these things, but this is something that we're super excited about. We can make almost immediate improvements in we've already had people ask us, can you do this? Can you do that? And, kind of taking, I would say, small bites out of the apple to start with and see how it works, and then add the other agents. So we have different different teams or agents that we can offer depending on what somebody wants to play with. But it's so exciting. It's so fun.
Okay. So what are the different pieces? So one piece is just summarize it for me.
So, so the pieces. So we use Agentic AI to build our agents, right? That's the kind of agents that we have. It's all basically Gen AI, but it's Agentic AI. So I don't know how familiar you are. It's really a more advanced and action-oriented approach to artificial intelligence, if you will. If you think about, most people think about AI, and frankly, the term that's been used in insurtech for the last few years is, you start thinking about Chat GPT and maybe some RPA, some sort of machine learning, right? But that's all prompt based, and that's great. But agentic AI is really focuses on taking actions and making decisions. There's quite a bit of autonomy, operates more independently. LLMs really do kind of require human guidance, right, for every single interaction. But once we have them trained on the right data with external environments and tools, they're able to really learn and move forward and keep this process rolling without a human. In the LLMs are confined kind of to the text-based interactions, if you will. So it's really kind of fun. So our agents, the 80% I was talking about that are out of the box are the agentic AI. And then we have some agents that work with the LLM that we create with the policy guidelines from the carrier. So those are the two components that we have. Of course, we have the API, so we're able to integrate pretty easily. That's really what we have. And then how does the other part of that would be when we're learning how does the carrier want this information shared back?
Mhm.
So there's a couple of ways you can do that. Um, you can have kind of an interface that pops open when like we're almost finished with our notification center, which will let the claim handler know if there are any like new tasks that occurred that are really important for me to understand since the last time I touched this claim, right? Because you have to remember they're working many claims, and it's difficult for them to remember every single thing with each one. Let's say that Mr. or Mrs. Policyholder needs to reschedule an appointment with an adjuster or a third party vendor. They send in an email or a phone call, and that gets sent to the claim file. Well, our communication agent team will read that and go, okay, we just simply need to reschedule this, and we'll kick off automated tasks to the other agents to communicate with the adjuster. If we have access to the adjuster's calendar, we can do that right away. But kick off the automated communication to the policyholder. So our agents can actually do all of it themselves and keep the human to be able to the team member to be able to do whatever else that person he or she needs to do. And so we're removing those little simple tasks like that from their those manual tasks from their workday. And we're able to present that back if we need to, but that's really not something that the claim handler really needs to know if an appointment was changed, unless it really impacts another piece of the
Mhm.
claim. And anyway, it's those are just some examples of how we're sharing data back and forth and performing tasks.
I love the idea of the adjusters being able to spend 100% of their time actually adjusting claims, as opposed to the massive amount of time that they spend on admin work to get around the large amount of data of unstructured data they work with.
Absolutely. And we've had people go, okay, so we started with this for the desk team, right? Especially start thinking about scope only estimates. This is perfect for that, where you're really just coordinating a lot of information to shoot to a desk and have it. It's like presenting all the claim information on a platter. Okay, here, please, here you go. Make your decisions. If there's anything else that they need, they can always work with the agents or obviously go back to some of their manual processes. But that's kind of the plan there. But we've had people say, okay, what about the field adjusters? Because we're incorporating voice. That's our next step is incorporating voice into this because back to, I'll use my pet example again. Think about the claim handler who's kind of going through it. And if you could just talk to your computer and say, hey, can you pull up that file on hip dysplasia? All files related to hip dysplasia, or maybe it's a medication, or some other kind of procedure. Um, and so then it's like talking to um, almost like a Siri or Alexa, right? But pulling up the information they need, so they're not having to actually type. How do we keep people from having to click so often? So another thing we wanted to do was do this for we have people ask us, can we do what about the our team in the field when um our adjuster is going out, can they have this summarized? This like what are all the key elements of this claim? Absolutely. So we're working on that right now as well for a client. And that is where the let's say the adjusters on their way to their appointment, they can simply ask their phone, can you please summarize everything in this claim for me? And based on what information the client wants to share, like what's important to them, we're able to kind of regist or share that information back to them. Like, here are the top 10 things, here's what's happened, depending on how they're wanting it returned to them. But super excited about that piece as well because they can just be driving and ask questions about the claim, so they're ready and prepped when they get there.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
So
it's so fun.
implementation is pretty fast. What is the pricing like?
So right now the pricing is around $5 per claim because we have a really high per technology fee. So we have some really hard costs, right? So OCR, if you've done any of this, it's not inexpensive when you, especially when we're using multiple types of technology to help us.
Mhm.
So we have kind of a higher cost per claim. So right now we're working with our design partners on a straight out of the box $5 per claim for basically creating a claim profile, doing a few of the things that I spoke about. Now, if they want, say they want to compare the policy to, if they want to start working on how do we automate maybe a denial letter, maybe it isn't actually it, it actually can't be a claim being logged, then that takes a little bit more. That's more expensive because there's more documents, there's more technology being used. So that's a different cost. But right now it's just to make some of these huge improvements is $5, which and we're keeping it low in order to scale quickly and bring more people on and get them used to using this. And of course, we can add more and more agents to other parts of the process. We've had we're working on an FNOL um, supported FNOL process right now using our agents. It's super cool. And so that would be something that would be priced separately, right? But that's what we're going for right now is just kind of $5, get your feet wet, come in and check it out. And we have a pilot program that does not require any kind of commitment. It's a one-time fee for X number of claims. So, and we don't have to do any integration. They can just send us files and we'll shoot them right back. So they can kind of see what the accuracy is and you know what how they want it to be fine-tuned. They want to move forward. So trying to keep this simple and take all of the sales tips I've learned over the years. We want to be able to get this into the hands of people quickly, show them the results and scale.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What are the early clients saying?
So I've got several, well, gosh, so the users are so happy. We've got a couple of adjusters. We've got a vet tech. I could probably pull up some of what they're the actual quotes and read them to you. We have them on our website, but they do not want to use, they don't ever want to uh, adjudicate claims again without this tool. That's basically what the consensus from the actual users, which
That is,
is which is what you want to hear, right? That's
yes,
what we're looking for.
that is absolutely fantastic and impressive that it's already happening this early on. Uh,
Oh, we've got a huge team. So we've got a team of about 35, 36 folks in Tulsa. I'm in Oklahoma City, as is my co-founder, Alex Pezzold, who he exited his last company for 140 million. He's a wizard in the fintech space. Although he was Marsh McClellan's cyber catalyst, I think it was in 21 for his last company was TokenX. But we have a very large team, and he's brilliant when it comes to this kind of technology, and they're everybody's top notch making this happen quickly. You'll see some our website's about to get refreshed. We really just kind of hit the ground running once we made our announcement.
Fantastic. How did you guys realize that this was a need?
Okay, so this is super cool. There's a company in Tulsa called GetWit. Well, actually, it's GetWit in 19 days. One of them is a venture studio. The other is basically professional services studio, and they do a lot in AI. And they realized that this was a huge problem actually in pet claims, right? The unstructured data. They had identified the unstructured data being an issue without the regulations in pet insurance. They knew Alex, kind of talked to Alex about it, and Alex said, "Oh my gosh, we've got to talk to Robin." Alex and I used to be neighbors. We also used to work together. So I've known he and his wife. His wife is actually the previous COO of Paycom. So they're like super smart duo. And anyway, so I was like, wow, actually, if you and I've been interested in AI, gosh, cybersecurity, data tokenization, quantum computing for about 6 years now. I've been just on my own trying to learn as much as I can, which still isn't enough. Um, and so kind of having these conversations and realizing what we could actually do. And they had already trained some AI agents in the personal home health space for home health nurses and caregivers. And so they've already built several AI agent solutions. And so this was kind of okay, let's take the claims process, let's apply this, and we just went from there. It just kind of was a culmination of the discussions and the ideas and the previous experiences that we all had just at the right time, right? I mean, we couldn't have made this type of solution um even last summer, like
Um,
it's the way that the technology continues to advance, like even with the voice and some of the things that we're doing there, you couldn't have done even a couple of months ago. So it's pretty cool.
that is fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, very, 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 very cool. Um,
thanks.
the development roadmap, let's say a year or two down the road, you expect to be serving basically every vertical within PNC claims?
We should be. I don't want to make promises on the
I'm
large complex losses.
okay.
I just I'm not as familiar with those. But as far as like warranty, travel, gadget, a workers' comp, those are all things we could work on and do now. I just want to kind of stay focused and get these kind of out of the box. Now, if we have a design partner that comes to us and says, "Hey, we want to work with you on this," we'll do it. But we're really working to get the P&C space nailed down. We've made huge progress and are just starting to add more and more clients there. Takes just a little while to get through the legal process and then get them onboarded. But
I would guess 90% of PNC claims are uh, home and auto,
yes.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so if you can make a huge difference in those two lines, that is a world of difference for our industry.
Absolutely. And we're really focused more on the property side. I think that CCC does a really good job on the auto side. And I think that auto is a little bit easier for some of the current solutions that are out there because I mean you typically have, four wheels and everyone kind of knows what the parts are for each vehicle and but property is a different beast and different nuances to most of the claims. And so that's really where we're focused.
Okay, so it would make sense that contractor estimates are significantly less standardized and structured than auto shops.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Correct. Correct.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
So especially areas of insurance that have mass amount of claims and that deal with a lot of unstructured data.
Yes. Perfect for us. And in a lot, really a lot of these and what here's what I love. And this is where we can help some of these smaller and medium-sized carriers or TPA firms, even service providers. We have a couple of conversations going on with actual service providers. Because they don't have the kind of dev resources, they don't have the budgets. This helps them remain relevant. They can stay competitive and really be. We kind of help them with this more of a competitive moat and being able to help them with these kind of solutions. So, I mean, claims. You talk about the actual margins that are there. They're pretty thin unless you're in a cat event and everybody is like, "Oh, we're going to charge a lot more." Um, so we can come in and really help with productivity and save really on the labor side here. To not that we're trying to we're not replacing anyone, we're just increasing productivity per person. If that makes
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So when this goes live, I'll tag both you and the company on LinkedIn. For the listeners, Agentech .com. So super easy to find. Uh,
Thanks.
and yeah, look forward to have you back in a year or two once you're deployed with a bunch of carriers and see what how
Oh,
things.
that'd be great. I can't believe 30 minutes already went by. It was like it went by, it flew by. I could talk about this stuff all day.
The passion comes across and that is really good and really yeah really interesting technology. The claim side doesn't get that much love uh,
Agree.
compared to distribution and underwriting and other areas of insurance. So it is fantastic to see cutting edge technology going to making claims better.
Yep.
Uh,
Agree.
so fantastic. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. You have a great day. It was so fun. I'm glad I ran into you, and I hope you have a fun Halloween night if you're celebrating.
Thank you.